It is pretty crazy how much of a blatant coup we just watched. And then I've seen people like Democrats on social media and stuff, and they'll call like people like us out, and they'll be like, well, first you said the guy was too senile to run, and now you're saying it was a coup when they removed him. You're like, yeah, both are true. I don't know what to tell you. The guy is clearly senile, and also he is still the president of the United States of America, and there's a process here.
They will they'll say, and it's just, the one thing I can't get over is not that people disagree with me. I assume people are always going to disagree with me. I'm often wrong. So it's like, it's okay to disagree with me.
The story of political power rarely unfolds in straightforward ways. Behind the carefully managed public appearances and official narratives lies a complex web of influence and strategic decision-making. This dynamic becomes particularly apparent when examining the political career and lasting influence of Barack Obama, whose rise to power and continued impact on American politics reveals sophisticated patterns of institutional support and narrative control. The seemingly organic nature of his political ascension masks a more calculated reality.
Now, of course, it wasn't what they presented it as. It wasn't like a grassroots campaign. He was approved of by the powers that be. He didn't just happen to, as a junior senator, get like a primetime speaking slot in 2004 where he gave that speech.
He wasn't even a senator yet.
Was he a state senator still at the time?
That's when I first met Barack Obama.
Yeah.
Walking down the street, smoking a cigarette in Boston on my way to dinner at the Palm. I'll never forget it. And I met him and Jesse Jackson Jr. They pulled over to say hi to me.
Really?
And I'd never heard his name. And I covered politics for a living.
Right.
And he gave the keynote at the end of that week. That was Sunday night. He spoke on Thursday. And yeah, he was not a U.S. senator.
The careful cultivation of Obama's public image represented a masterclass in political messaging. His early campaign speeches struck powerful chords of unity and hope, resonating deeply with an American public eager for change. The sophistication of this messaging strategy demonstrated not just political acumen, but a deep understanding of how to shape public perception. These early messages of unity and reconciliation would later undergo significant transformation, revealing the calculated nature of political narrative construction.
And there was a broader, more unifying thing. I mean, I remember because he was such a powerful, like public speaker. I mean, he never really said anything, but it would still be beautiful.
Yes.
I remember in his acceptance speech at 2008 at the DNC, we had this whole line where he was like, I love this country, and so do you, and so does John McCain. The men and women who have fought for this country have been Republicans and Democrats and independents, but they fought together and died together, not defending a red America or a blue America, the United States of America. And just like, and then it's like, he didn't really say anything there, but but it was beautifully put.
As the administration progressed, a significant transformation occurred in both messaging and priorities. This shift wasn't merely a response to changing circumstances, but appeared to be a calculated strategic decision with far-reaching implications for American political discourse. The sophistication of this pivot demonstrated the deep institutional support and strategic planning that characterized the Obama era. Understanding this transformation helps illuminate the broader patterns of power and influence in American politics.
And it was around Obama's re-election campaign. This is where things really went off the rails in this country, was that he got in there and continued and expanded all the worst of the Bush policies.
Oh, of course.
And so they almost had nothing to run on. And so they decided to pivot to a culture war instead. And this was a decision, and again, I don't know exactly what the conspiracy is, but this decision was made from the top down. That I think it was a response to Obama's failures. It was a response to these movements like the Tea Party and Occupy Wall Street, which were getting a little bit too close.
That's right.
A little bit too close to the target. And all this, I'm sure you've looked at this before, but where there's these nexus charts and you can chart out like how many times all the woke terms are used.
The impact of these strategic decisions became increasingly apparent in the years that followed, particularly in the realm of public discourse and media coverage. Data analysis revealed striking patterns that suggested coordinated effort rather than organic evolution. These changes would fundamentally alter the landscape of American political dialogue, establishing new paradigms for how political narratives are constructed and maintained.
And people are waking up in a very profound way. I mean, it really is, it is all fake. And more people are aware of that. Like if you zoom out and go like from my mother's, when my mother was my age to me being this age, it is unbelievable how much more people understand that this is all fake.
And you're right.
now.
Propaganda is the key. I mean, Joseph Goebbels, not to make everything a Nazi reference, but it was 5'4", crippled, never fired a gun in his life except into his own head in the end, never commanded an army.
The sophisticated networks of influence and control that shaped the Obama era continue to impact our political landscape today. Their effects can be seen in everything from media narratives to policy decisions, revealing the enduring nature of carefully constructed political frameworks. The transformation of American political discourse during this period provides crucial insights into the nature of power and influence in our democratic system.
Oh, I know.
It's not nearly as effective as it once was, but it is still there. And you see it like when people get taken over by the propaganda. It's such a bizarre thing. I mean, it's like talking to someone and there's no soul there when they just repeat back the propaganda to you or something. It was, January 6th was an insurrection. And you're like, I'm not having a conversation with you. I'm having a conversation with like what Don Lemon convinced you're supposed to believe.
As we examine these complex patterns of influence and strategy, we've exposed how the Obama administration masterfully wielded propaganda and narrative control to reshape American political discourse. What began as promises of unity and post-racial harmony devolved into perhaps one of the most sophisticated operations of social division and cultural manipulation in modern political history.
And I said this to you last time, it's the great case for optimism, is that all of this government tyranny relies on propaganda, and the propaganda is being broken at an unbelievable rate. Things that would have seemed unimaginable very recently in my adult lifetime, like not, generations ago, but just years ago. And we're seeing that now. And people are waking up in a very profound way.
While the Democratic establishment continues to deploy these tested tactics of social division and carefully crafted narratives, their effectiveness appears to be waning as more Americans recognize the manipulation at play. The question now becomes, how much lasting damage has this era of sophisticated propaganda inflicted on our national unity? And can we recover from it?
Because people see the truth, they're living it every day, and they still feel unheard.
Harris Faulkner has long been one of the most recognizable and respected figures on Fox News, known for her sharp questioning, no-nonsense delivery, and ability to cut through the noise in political discourse. As the host of the Faulkner Focus and a co-host on Outnumbered, she has covered everything from presidential elections to social controversies, making her a key voice in conservative media. But recently she found herself momentarily stunned as she uncovered a startling contradiction in the way Michelle Obama's legacy is being reshaped in the media. The former First Lady's past initiatives, once vilified as an example of government overreach, are now being championed in a new battle against modern progressivism. In today's video, we'll take a look at how Michelle Obama's efforts, particularly her controversial Let's Move campaign, have gone from being labeled an intrusion into personal freedoms to being used as a conservative argument against leftist ideology. Michelle Obama's Let's Move campaign.
It's easy to say we need to eat healthy and exercise more. It's just as easy to say we'll start tomorrow. But our kids are running out of time. They're the first generation that might not live as long as their parents because of the health risks associated with being overweight. What can we do to help? Be the example they need. Make healthy choices and help them do the same. Let's move to raise a healthier generation of kids.
When Michelle Obama introduced her Let's Move initiative in 2010, it was presented as an ambitious, multifaceted effort to tackle the growing childhood obesity epidemic in the U.S. With obesity rates among children reaching alarming levels, the campaign aimed to encourage healthier eating habits, increase physical activity, and improve nutrition education in schools. The initiative was built on collaboration with food manufacturers, schools, and health organizations, pushing for reduced sugar, fat, and sodium content in school lunches while promoting access to fresh produce. On the surface, the campaign seemed like a noble and largely nonpartisan cause. After all, childhood obesity was a documented public health crisis, with researchers linking it to increased risks of diabetes, heart disease, and other long-term health complications. The idea of helping children adopt better habits seemed like something everyone could support. But it didn't take long for conservative media and political figures to take issue with Michelle Obama's approach. Critics on the right saw Let's Move not as a health-conscious initiative, but as a glaring example of big government overreach into Americans' personal lives. Fox News and other right-leaning outlets wasted no time in framing the initiative as an unnecessary intrusion. Glenn Beck warned that the program could lead to government control over people's dietary choices, going so far as to suggest that Americans could eventually be fined for consuming unhealthy foods. Sean Hannity argued that Michelle Obama's efforts were nothing short of an attempt to expand the so-called nanny state, turning what should be individual choices into government-mandated behaviors. Adding fuel to the fire was the program's effects on school lunches. As part of Let's Move, new federal guidelines required schools to serve healthier meals with reduced calorie counts and limited sodium and fat content. But many students were not happy with the changes. Complaints of tasteless, unappetizing meals circulated widely, with some students posting pictures of their school lunches on social media to showcase the perceived lack of portion size and flavor. These grievances were quickly amplified by conservative media, with Fox News running multiple segments ridiculing the Michelle Obama-approved lunches. Some commentators argued that the program had unintended consequences, such as leading to increased food waste as students refused to eat the healthier options. Others suggested the initiative was an example of elitism. Wealthier families could afford to make their own dietary choices, while low-income students were being forced into an unwanted and, in their view, ineffective system. The backlash was fierce and unrelenting, with Michelle Obama frequently becoming a target for conservative pundits who viewed her initiative as an extension of Democratic overreach. Despite the criticism, Michelle Obama defended Let's Move passionately, insisting it was not about restricting freedom, but about ensuring that children had access to the resources they needed to make healthier choices. The sudden change, from nanny state to common sense. In a surprising twist, the very network that once decried Let's Move as an authoritarian overreach is now citing it as an example of sensible public health policy. What caused the shift?
We are celebrating a big anniversary.
What exactly are we celebrating?
It has been 5 years since we launched Let's Move.
Let's Move!
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was going to say we were celebrating.
The answer lies in the emergence of the fat positivity movement, a growing cultural and political force that challenges traditional ideas about weight, health, and beauty. Over the past several years, some progressive activists have claimed that American society's emphasis on fitness and dieting is steeped in racism and oppression. They argue that the push to maintain a certain body type is rooted in white supremacy and colonialist ideals, and that instead of encouraging weight loss, society should embrace people of all body sizes without judgment. One of the most prominent voices of this movement is Sonali Rashitwar, a self-described fat sex therapist, who has publicly argued that diet culture and weight loss efforts are forms of systemic oppression. She's claimed that traditional views on health are tools of marginalization designed to shame and control people based on arbitrary and outdated standards. The ideology is at the core of FatCon, a controversial conference in Philadelphia that promotes fat positivity. The event even features discussions on fat phobia, beauty standards, and social media representation, challenging conventional health narratives. FatCon's rejection of weight loss as a health goal and its assertion that fitness culture is a form of discrimination have placed it squarely in opposition to the principles behind Michelle Obama's Let's Move initiative. That's where the irony emerges. Conservative media figures who once bashed Let's Move are now using it to counter the far left's new approach to health. During a segment on Outnumbered, Harris Faulkner and her colleagues expressed disbelief that weight loss and fitness were now being framed as tools of white supremacy. Tomi Lahren pointed out the contradiction, reminding viewers that Michelle Obama had once championed the exact same values that were now being vilified by progressives. For Harris Faulkner, the realization was particularly jarring. Having spent years covering political and social debates, she found herself momentarily speechless at the absurdity of the situation. How could Michelle Obama's once criticized initiative now be viewed as a moderate stance against radical progressivism? And more importantly, how could Fox News, which had spent years attacking Let's Move, now find itself defending it as a rational alternative to the extremes of fat activism? The media's role in rewriting political narratives.
I want to ask you, is your passion for Let's Move primarily a policy passion, or is it a parental passion because you're a mom?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I come to this issue more so as a mom than a first lady. Life has changed for families in a way that I can see. You know, we're busier, we're less active. The pillars of Let's Move, you know, attempt to hit on an array of approaches, information to family so that they can make better decisions.
The shifting narrative around Let's Move highlights a broader issue, the role of media in selectively reshaping political discourse. This isn't just about Michelle Obama, it's about the way narratives are constantly reinterpreted to fit evolving political needs. Fox News, like many media outlets, often adjusts its stance based on what serves its current agenda. While it previously framed Let's Move as an example of government overreach, it now uses it as a reference point to attack progressive extremism. This shift mirrors similar patterns in political discourse, where policies once deemed too liberal are now embraced as moderate when compared to new, more radical movements. The left is guilty of it too. During the Obama years, progressives championed Let's Move as a forward-thinking public health initiative. Now, some activists view it as outdated at best and oppressive at worst. The same people who praised Michelle Obama's work a decade ago are now accusing her of reinforcing racist beauty standards. This ever-changing narrative is one of the reasons why figures like Harris Faulkner, who has spent her career following the political landscape, found herself momentarily stunned. In just a few years, a policy that once had been a symbol of democratic overreach had been rebranded as a common-sense initiative.
Your other big thing is about iTunes. You know, you're one of the very few, even the Beatles have cracked now, but you stand out now like a shaft of tough gold while all around is dulling. Why are you continuing to resist? What's the principle at stake here for you?
Well, it's very deep and it's very honest. I'm going to be very candid with you. I don't like being told what to do.
Robert James Ritchie, known to the world as Kid Rock, was born January 17, 1971, in Romeo, Michigan. Raised in a small, rural town outside of Detroit, Kid Rock grew up in a working-class family. His father owned a car dealership, and while his family was well off, he found himself drawn to the rebellious energy of hip-hop, rock, and country music. As a child, he developed an interest in breakdancing and DJing, often participating in local talent shows. By the time he was a teenager, Kid Rock had fully immersed himself in Detroit's underground music scene. He started out as a rapper, inspired by acts like Run DMC and Beastie Boys, and began performing at local clubs. His stage name, Kid Rock, was given to him by fans who were impressed by how well, quote, that white kid could rock the mic. Early career struggles.
And they had all this bullshit, like you can't use the dance floor, people have to be 6 feet apart, all this horse shit.
Kid Rock's first big break came when he signed with Jive Records in 1990 and released Grits Sandwiches for Breakfast. The album was heavily influenced by early hip-hop and received some airplay, especially after the track Yodelin in the Valley spurred controversy for its raunchy lyrics. Despite this, the album failed to get widespread success, and Jive dropped him from their roster. Determined to succeed, Kid Rock continued to refine his sound, moving away from pure rap and incorporating rock and country influences. He independently released The Polyfuse Method and Early Morning Stoned Pimp, both of which helped him build a cult following. Though these albums didn't break into the mainstream, they showcased his evolving style. The turning point in Kid Rock's career came with his 1998 album Devil Without a Cause. Released under Atlantic Records, the album blended rap, hard rock, and southern-infused country elements, creating a unique sound that resonated with a broad audience. Hits like Ba With Da Ba, Cowboy, and Only God Knows Why became anthems of the late 90s, cementing Kid Rock as a defining figure in rap rock. Devil Without a Cause sold over 14 million copies worldwide, earning him multi-platinum status. The success made Kid Rock a household name, allowing him to tour extensively, and he established himself as a larger-than-life personality in the music industry. Continued success and evolution.
You've decided to nail your mast to a flat fee of $20 and $4 a beer for a 12-ounce guzzle of beer. Why are you doing it, and what do you hope to achieve?
It's gotten out of hand. The price of concerts, the price of entertainment, period. You know, whether it's a sporting event, going to the movies, buying a soda there, whatever. And what do? Obviously, a musician to play concerts. I've been very fortunate. I've always tried to keep prices what I think are fair.
Following Devil Without a Cause, Kid Rock released Cocky, an album that continued his blend of rock, rap, and country influences. The album featured Picture, a heartfelt duet with Sheryl Crow, which became one of his most successful songs to date. Unlike his previous party anthems, Picture showcased a softer, more introspective side of Kid Rock, broadening his appeal to country and mainstream audiences. Over the years, Kid Rock continued to evolve musically. Albums like Rock and Roll Jesus and Born Free saw him move away from rap rock and embrace a more classic rock and country sound. All Summer Long, from Rock and Roll Jesus, was another career-defining hit. The song sampled Lynyrd Skynyrd's Sweet Home Alabama and became a massive crossover success, topping charts worldwide. Kid Rock's ability to reinvent himself and appeal to diverse audiences is one of his greatest strengths. Whether performing rap rock anthems, southern rock ballads, or patriotic country tunes, he's maintained a dedicated fan base. Over the course of his career, Kid Rock has sold over 25 million albums in the U.S. alone, earned multiple Grammy nominations, headlined sold-out stadium tours, and established himself as a philanthropist, donating millions to Detroit-based charities. Political views.
I heard, Michelle Obama's not attending. I would kindly remind her that years back, when Obama was first elected, I did not vote for him, but they asked me to play the inauguration, and I played it, and I went. Had a good time. I went for out of respect to the presidency, so.
Kid Rock has never shied away from expressing his political views. A self-proclaimed American badass, he's been an outspoken supporter of conservative values and American patriotism. While he previously identified as more libertarian, his political stance became more aligned with right-wing politics in the 2010s. His vocal support for Donald Trump became particularly prominent during the 2016 and 2020 elections. Kid Rock attended Trump rallies, visited the White House, and was frequently seen wearing MAGA-themed merchandise. In 2017, he even flirted with the idea of running for the U.S. Senate in Michigan, though he later admitted it was a publicity stunt. Despite criticism from liberal audiences and some media outlets, Kid Rock has stood firm in his beliefs. He's argued that his political stance is based on his love for America, his belief in personal freedom, and his support for working-class citizens. His recent comments about Michelle Obama sparked debate, with some supporting his stance on respect for the presidency, while others accused him of being unnecessarily confrontational. Despite his conservative views, Kid Rock has demonstrated a willingness to respect artists who hold different political beliefs. He has spoken about Eminem, a fellow Detroit native, multiple times, acknowledging his immense talent. While the two have had their disagreements, especially after Eminem criticized Trump in his 2017 freestyle rap The Storm, Kid Rock has remained complimentary of Eminem's artistry. He's noted that politics shouldn't get in the way of recognizing raw talent. Similarly, he has commented on Taylor Swift's political activism, particularly her public endorsement of Democratic candidates. While he has previously criticized her for becoming more political, he's also defended her right to speak her mind. American Badass.
Your last record is fantastic.
Thank you.
And you really know how to make a record.
Kid Rock's career is a testament to his versatility, resilience, and willingness to stand by his belief. From his early days as a rapper in Detroit to his evolution into a rock and country superstar, he's consistently pushed boundaries and defied expectations. His outspoken political views have made him a polarizing figure, but they've also earned him a loyal following. Whether advocating for working-class Americans, voicing his support for Trump, or calling out political figures like Michelle Obama, Kid Rock remains unfiltered and unapologetic. At the same time, his willingness to acknowledge the success of artists with opposing political views shows that he values talent and artistic expression over partisan loyalty. For better or for worse, Kid Rock is a figure who refuses to be boxed into any one category, musically or politically. And as long as he continues to speak his mind and make music, he'll remain a significant force in American culture. Many celebrities have found themselves embroiled in controversy due to their political views, with some becoming polarizing figures because of their outspoken beliefs. Hollywood, the music industry, and even the sports world have seen stars face backlash, boycotts, and media scrutiny for either supporting or opposing certain political figures and ideologies. However, while some celebrities allow politics to define their entire public persona, others have managed to navigate their beliefs in a way that fosters discussion rather than division. division. Kid Rock is a prime example of how one can hold strong political convictions, yet still maintain relationships with those who think differently. While he's well known for his strong conservative views and open support of figures like Donald Trump, he's shown a level of maturity that allows him to maintain friendships with those on the other side of the political spectrum. One notable example is a friendship with Whoopi Goldberg, a staunch liberal and co-host of The View. Despite their ideological differences, the two have shared mutual respect and even joked about their political debates. Kid Rock has also expressed admiration for figures like Oprah Winfrey, despite disagreeing with her politics. His ability to separate personal relationships from political divides offers a refreshing contrast to the culture of outrage and cancellation that often dominates celebrity discourse. The unraveling of a presidential marriage.
The former First Lady has withdrawn from political life in recent months, missing both the state funeral for Jimmy Carter and Donald Trump's inauguration. It's got some corners of the internet going into overdrive, throwing out theories like Michelle and Barack getting a divorce, or is Michelle's absence simply fueled by a passionate hate for Donald Trump?
Michelle Obama's absence from key public appearances has become a focal point of speculation, igniting debates about the state of her relationship with former President Barack Obama. Known for their enduring love and partnership, the Obamas have often been viewed as a model couple, balancing personal challenges with their high-profile roles. Yet recent events have cast doubt on this narrative. The first notable incident was Michelle's decision to skip former President Jimmy Carter's funeral in January. While the official explanation cited a scheduling conflict, it struck many as unusual given Michelle's long history of participating in such significant events. Her absence was particularly glaring when juxtaposed with the presence of other former First Ladies, including Hillary Clinton and Laura Bush. Further raising eyebrows was Michelle's absence from Donald Trump's second inauguration. While her disdain for Trump has been well documented, the event's symbolic significance as a gathering of past presidents and their spouses made her non-attendance more noticeable. This absence, coupled with reports of Barack dining alone at a high-profile LA restaurant in December, led to a flurry of speculation. Critics and fans alike began to piece together a narrative of Michelle distancing herself from major public engagements. Social media has played a big role in amplifying these rumors. Platforms like Twitter and Instagram have become saturated with posts dissecting every detail from Michelle's body language in past photos to the couple's recent lack of joint appearances. Some users speculated that the Obamas were quietly leading separate lives, with one viral tweet confidently predicting, quote, "The Obamas are getting a divorce." Such posts created a feedback loop where speculation fed more speculation, turning isolated events into a perceived pattern of estrangement. Barack Obama, known for his measured approach to public narratives, tried to attempt the growing rumors with a heartfelt anniversary post celebrating their decades-long union. The post highlighted their journey together, their shared values, and the life they had built. But even this sincere gesture failed to quiet the mounting narrative. It was met with mixed reactions, some interpreting it as an attempt to mask underlying issues, others dismissing it entirely as a public relations move. The Obamas have faced scrutiny before, from the pressures of raising a family in the White House to navigating Barack's political career. But this wave of rumors feels different, persistent, unrelenting, and fueled by the unique dynamics of social media, where whispers can become headlines overnight. Jennifer Aniston enters the picture.
You get from your publicist where you're just like, oh no, what's it going to be? Or the email saying, you know, some cheesy tabloid is going to make up a story, and then it's that.
Yeah. Does your
I was
publicist
not mad
ever
at
go
it.
like, well, I know it's not true. I just don't know if everybody knows.
Well, it is untrue. I know Michelle more than him.
What is there a truth about you and Michelle that we should know?
That is not true.
So
the unexpected involvement of Jennifer Aniston in this narrative has transformed it from a political intrigue to Hollywood meets politics spectacle. Aniston, best known for her role as Rachel Green on Friends, has been a fixture in the public eye for decades. Her personal life, particularly her relationships, has often captured as much attention as her career. From her high-profile marriage to Brad Pitt and subsequent union with Justin Theroux, Aniston has navigated the complexities of fame with a blend of grace and relatability. Yet her rumored connection to Barack Obama represents an entirely new chapter, one that combines her Hollywood persona with the gravitas of a former president. The rumors first emerged in mid-2024, originating from a celebrity gossip podcast. The podcast claimed that Barack Obama and Jennifer Aniston were, quote, obsessed with each other, suggesting that the relationship was causing friction between Barack and Michelle. Though the podcast's unnamed source provided little in the way of concrete evidence, the story quickly gained traction. By the time In Touch magazine picked it up, the narrative had expanded, painting a picture of a clandestine romance between two seemingly unconnected figures. The magazine added speculative details, fueling public curiosity and making the story difficult to ignore. Jennifer Aniston addressed the rumors directly during an October 2024 appearance on Jimmy Kimmel Live. With her characteristic humor, she dismissed the claim, saying, quote, of all the calls you can get from your publicist where you're like, oh no, what's it going to be? And then it's that. She clarified she had only met Barack once and actually knew Michelle better than the former president. Her candid response drew laughter from the audience, but did little to quell the growing narrative. In early 2025, the rumors were reignited by a popular blogger who claimed to have insider knowledge of the alleged affair. According to the blogger, the information came from someone within Aniston's inner circle. The claim suggested that the relationship was casually discussed among her friends during a social gathering, lending an air of plausibility to the otherwise unsubstantiated allegations. While the source remains unverified, the story has continued to dominate conversations online and in tabloid headlines. Aniston's involvement adds a layer of complexity to the situation. Her public image, shaped by years of being both celebrated and scrutinized, contrasts sharply with Barack Obama's statesman-like persona. This has only heightened public fascination with the story. Aniston, often seen as the embodiment of Hollywood charm and relatability, and Obama, a figure of political sophistication and intellectual gravitas, make for an unlikely pairing. Yet it's precisely this contrast that has captured the imagination of so many. Barack and Michelle, a love story in the spotlight.
I had actually spoken to her on the phone, and she was very corporate and very proper on the phone, trying to explain to me how the summer program at Sidley and Austin was going to go.
Barack and Michelle Obama's relationship has been a cornerstone of their public image. The couple first met in 1989 at Sidley Austin, a Chicago law firm where Michelle was assigned as Barack's mentor. Their first date, a viewing of Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing, marked the beginning of a relationship that would evolve into a partnership celebrated worldwide. Married in 1992, the Obamas navigated the challenges of building careers, raising a family, and stepping into the national spotlight. Throughout Barack's political career, Michelle often served as his anchor, balancing her own professional ambitions with the demand of public life. The couple raised two daughters, Malia and Sasha, who spent their formative years in the White House. Despite the pressures of life in the public eye, the Obamas made efforts to prioritize their relationship, scheduling regular date nights and family time. But the current rumors suggest a potential fracture in this enduring partnership. While the Obamas have faced public scrutiny before, the persistent nature of these allegations raises questions about the dynamics of their relationship in recent years. Hollywood meets politics, the allure of scandal.
I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never told anybody to lie, not a single time, never. These allegations are false.
The alleged connection between Barack Obama and Jennifer Aniston represents the convergence of two worlds that rarely intersect. Hollywood and politics have long been sources of public fascination, but the combination of the two creates a level of intrigue that few stories can match. Obama, a former president known for intellect and charisma, and Aniston, a beloved actress with a history of tabloid drama, make for an unlikely yet compelling pair. The public's fascination with the story speaks to the enduring allure of scandal, particularly when it involves figures who are typically seen as paragons of their respective fields. For Barack, the rumors challenge his image as a devoted family man and respected statesman. For Aniston, they add another chapter to a personal life that has often been the subject of public scrutiny. Joan Rivers' bold political commentary.
And do you think that the country will see the United States will see the first gay president or the first woman president?
We already have it with Obama, so let's just calm down.
Got it.
You know Michelle is a tramp.
I'm sorry, she's a what?
A Transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
Joan Rivers was a pioneering force in the world of comedy, renowned for her sharp wit, fearless humor, and unfiltered commentary on a wide range of topics, from celebrity culture to societal norms. She broke numerous barriers as a female comedian in a male-dominated industry, earning acclaim for her stand-up routines, television specials, and roles as a fashion critic on shows like Fashion Police. Rivers' ability to blend humor with incisive social observations made her a beloved yet controversial figure, capable of sparking both laughter and debate. Her career, spanning nearly 6 decades, was marked by relentless pursuit of honesty and her willingness to address subjects that others might shy away from. Her political commentary was as fearless as her comedy. In an era where political correctness was beginning to take hold, Rivers often pushed the envelope, addressing topics that many comedians would avoid. Her comments about Michelle Obama, though brief, are emblematic of her willingness to tackle sensitive subjects head-on. She was known for her sharp tongue and ability to provoke thought through humor, often blurring the lines between comedy and social commentary. Her political stance was complex. While she identified as a Republican, her approach to politics was not strictly aligned with any single ideology. She admired conservative figures like Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher, but also held progressive views on certain social issues. This nuanced political identity allowed her to comment on a wide range of topics, often surprising her audience with perspectives that did not fit neatly into traditional political categories. Her comments on Michelle Obama can be seen as part of her broader tendency to question and critique, using humor as a tool to explore and challenge societal norms. Rivers' ability to navigate the intersection of comedy and politics was a testament to her versatility and intelligence. She understood the power of humor to influence public opinion and was adept at using it to highlight and critique political figures and policies. This skill not only solidified her place in the comedy world, but also made her a significant voice in political discourse. Her fearless approach to political commentary, exemplified by her remarks about Michelle, showcased her commitment to speaking her truth regardless of the political consequences. Joan Rivers' relationship with Donald Trump.
I adore Donald. Do you know, smart.
Yes.
No one gives him credit. I did Celebrity Apprentice. I thought, Donald. And
Right.
then you go and you do Celebrity Apprentice and you realize this is so smart, so professional. I think he's terrific. I think he would have made a great president.
Joan's relationship with Donald Trump was multifaceted and evolved over time. Her participation in Celebrity Apprentice alongside Trump showcased her ability to engage with diverse personalities, even those she initially found off-putting. Initially skeptical of Trump, her views appeared to shift as she observed his business acumen and professionalism on the show. Her statement about believing Trump would make a great president highlights her respect for his capabilities, despite any personal reservations she may have had. This relationship took on additional layers with the interplay between Rivers' political affiliations and her interactions with Trump. As a Republican in a predominantly liberal industry, Rivers navigated her political beliefs while maintaining professional relationships that crossed political divides. Her comments suggest a complex admiration for Trump's business prowess, which may have influenced her own political commentary and the way she addressed political figures like Michelle Obama. Controversial remarks and public perception.
You know Michelle is a
I'm sorry, she's a what?
a transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
Joan's remarks about Michelle Obama were brief but loaded with implications. By referring to Michelle Obama as transgender, she made a statement that was both provocative and misleading. This comment can be interpreted in various ways, including as an attempt to question or undermine Michelle Obama's identity and role. But without further context, it remains ambiguous whether Rivers was making a factual claim, a joke, or a satirical remark. The impact of such a comment is significant given Michelle's prominence as a public figure and former First Lady. In the politically charged atmosphere surrounding Obama's tenure, Rivers' comment added another layer to the public discourse, reflecting the polarized views that characterize the political landscape. For many, her comment may have been seen as an attempt to provoke or challenge, consistent with her comedic style that often straddled the line between humor and controversy. Public and media reactions were mixed, with some finding humor in her audacity and others criticizing her for making potentially unfounded and offensive remarks. This duality in reception is typical of Rivers' career, where her willingness to address sensitive topics often led to both acclaim and backlash. Navigating Hollywood and political correctness. In Hollywood, a city often associated with liberal values and progressive politics, Joan stood out as a Republican voice. Her political affiliation set her apart in an industry where such views were less common, giving her a unique perspective on political and social issues. Her success as a comedian and television host in this environment speaks to her ability to navigate and excel despite the potential for ideological clashes. Rivers' Republican identity was not just a political statement, but a reflection of her personal beliefs and values. Her emphasis on hard work, financial success, and limited government intervention in her comments align with conservative principles, yet her approach to comedy and social commentary often transcended traditional political boundaries. The lasting impact of Joan's outspokenness.
Right. But if you're making $25 million a movie and I don't like your dress, that's not tragic.
Yeah, right. Joan's legacy is deeply intertwined with her outspokenness and fearless critique of societal norms. Her comment about disliking someone's dress, regardless of their wealth, exemplifies her approach to commentary, direct, unfiltered, and unapologetic. This attitude was a hallmark of Rivers' career, where she often used her platform to speak truth to power, challenge superficial standards, and address issues that many found uncomfortable or taboo. Her willingness to critique high-profile figures, including political leaders like Michelle Obama, demonstrated her commitment to honesty and her belief in the role of comedy as a form of social commentary. Her ability to deliver such critiques with humor made her stand out in the entertainment industry, where maintaining a persona of likability often takes precedence over candidness. This approach not only set her apart from her peers, but also paved the way for future comedians to use humor as a tool for addressing serious topics. The enduring relevance of Rivers' comments about Michelle Obama is a testament to her impact on comedy and political discourse. By speaking her mind, she encouraged others to question and engage with the issues she raised, fostering a culture of dialogue and debate. Her legacy as a boundary-pushing comedian who was unafraid to tackle controversial subjects continues to influence comedians and public figures, highlighting the importance of free expression and the power of humor in shaping public opinion.
Tucker Carlson speechless at the truth about Hunter Biden's laptop.
So you've written about this for several years now, pretty conclusively, I would say. You had an amazing book on Hunter Biden's laptop, which sort of substantiates a lot of what you're saying. But no one has ever been punished for it. There was no effect, really.
The saga of Hunter Biden's laptop is not merely a scandal of political corruption, but a deeply unsettling glimpse into the mechanisms of suppression wielded by powerful institutions. As Miranda Devine points out, the story has been extensively reported and substantiated, yet no meaningful consequences have followed. This lack of accountability raises pressing questions about the systems of power that operate beyond public scrutiny, shaping narratives in ways that silence uncomfortable truths.
No, so that's why I wrote the second book, The Big Guy, which is Joe Biden's code name that Hunter Biden's former business partners like Tony Bobulinski had to use to refer to Joe Biden because the family was so paranoid about his involvement. And I think, the first book, The Laptop from Hell, that we at the New York Post wrote about and then got censored by big tech. At the time, that was before the 2020 election, and we didn't really understand how this was happening. We just thought, Twitter and Facebook are just woke and they want Joe Biden to win, so they're censoring us. But what we found out after the election, in part thanks to Elon Musk opening up the Twitter files, and also because of a whole lot of once the Republicans took the House in 2022, or after 22, they got to subpoena a whole lot of documents and also interview witnesses. Plus, whistleblowers from the FBI told us that the reason that Twitter and Facebook censored us was because they'd been warned by the FBI for weeks ahead of our story even appearing to look out for a Russian hack and leak operation, likely in October, likely involving Hunter Biden.
This quote captures the essence of the censorship surrounding the laptop story. Initially dismissed as the result of woke corporate bias, the deeper reality emerged later, revealing that the FBI had actively primed social media companies to suppress the story. By painting it as a potential Russian operation before it even surfaced, the FBI ensured that platforms like Twitter and Facebook would discredit it immediately. The influence of whistleblowers and the revelations from the Twitter files have since exposed this deliberate coordination, highlighting the alarming intersection of federal agencies and private tech companies.
And so when Twitter and Facebook saw our story on October 4th,
the FBI's covert surveillance of Rudy Giuliani and access to his communications with John Paul McIsaac reveal the extent of their involvement in this case. The laptop itself had been in their possession for nearly a year, yet they chose to discredit it publicly, labeling it as disinformation. This level of surveillance, paired with deliberate disinformation campaigns targeting legitimate reporting, represents a significant abuse of power. It raises serious concerns about the weaponization of intelligence agencies against narratives that threaten political elites.
And 2 days later, Joe Biden gets up on stage with Donald Trump in the last debate, and he uses that letter to basically get out of jail free, and the story never ever became anything. But what we now know is that that letter was not just signed by these formers, but that it was cleared by the internal CIA classification review board in record time. And even they saw it and thought it was overtly political just 3 weeks before an election. So they sent it upstairs to Gina Haspel, who was then the CIA director under Donald Trump. And she gave it the green light to be published immediately. And so the Dirty 51 letter was actually a domestic CIA interference operation with the election. And you know, that just boggles your mind.
The infamous Dirty 51 letter allowed Joe Biden to dismiss the laptop story during a pivotal debate, effectively neutralizing the issue. As Devine explains, the CIA played a central role in fast-tracking the letter, even as officials acknowledged its overtly political nature. This admission exposes a troubling precedent: the use of intelligence agencies to interfere in domestic elections under the guise of safeguarding democracy. The implications of this operation extend far beyond one election, pointing to systemic issues that demand accountability.
Joe Biden, people underestimate his aggressiveness. He's very good at it. He's very nasty. And so if you ask him a question he doesn't like, it's almost like this narcissistic rage. It's quite frightening, and you see reporters recoil. And you ask him anything around Hunter's sort of, or the family corruption, because it's just also Joe's younger brother, Jim Biden. He gets very aggressive and nasty and pushes back.
Joe Biden's personal demeanor plays a role in shaping the narrative surrounding his family's business dealings. As Devine notes, his aggressive responses to questions about Hunter's activities have effectively discouraged deeper inquiries. This approach, coupled with institutional suppression, has allowed significant allegations of corruption to remain largely unaddressed, leaving the public with more questions than answers. The story of Hunter Biden's laptop is a striking example of the complex interplay between power, influence, and the active suppression of inconvenient truths. It isn't just about a wayward son or a forgotten laptop. It's about the mechanisms that powerful institutions deploy to protect their own. From the FBI's covert surveillance of Rudy Giuliani to the CIA's expedited clearance of a politically charged letter, the narrative exposes a system that prioritizes narrative control over transparency and accountability. The orchestration behind these efforts reveals a deeply entrenched network of influence, where media, government agencies, and political figures work in concert to shield not just individuals, but the broader establishment from scrutiny. As Devine underscores, this suppression wasn't solely about Hunter Biden. It served to protect a sprawling network of power that relies on secrecy and deniability to maintain its hold. The interconnected roles of government agencies and influential figures highlight how accountability is often sacrificed to preserve the status quo. Perhaps the most chilling detail comes from this quote.
We found out after the election, in part thanks to Elon Musk opening up the Twitter files, and also because of a whole lot of once the Republicans took the House in 2022, or after 22, they got to subpoena a whole lot of documents and also interview witnesses. Plus, whistleblowers from the FBI told us that the reason that Twitter and Facebook censored us was because they'd been warned by the FBI for weeks ahead of our story even appearing to look out for a Russian hack and leak operation, likely in October, likely involving Hunter Biden. And so when Twitter and Facebook saw our story on October 14, 2020, they recognized it immediately as the Russian hack and leak dump.
How would the FBI know?
What does this story reveal about the intersection of power, media, and governance? How can the public ensure accountability in an environment where truth is so easily suppressed? Share your thoughts in the comments below.